Welcome to the Wordy and Nerdy podcast, or whatever we're going to call this.
Yeah.
This is us talking about
DC.
DC and shit.
So, we have two previous videos on the channel, Zack Snyder's Justice League and Suicide Squad. And we both enjoy those movies, and we also enjoy the most recent Peacemaker and Batman. So we're wondering, is DC good again?
Yes, that's the question of the hour. Also, if it wasn't obvious, this video is going to podcast is going to have spoilers in it.
Yep. We're spoilers for Peacemaker, spoilers for Batman, spoilers for pretty much
just DC in general. Just don't
yep.
watch. If you don't want spoilers, just don't watch it or listen to it.
Yep.
Okay, let's just jump right into it. So, Peacemaker, what did you think? Or as John has in his notes here, Peach Marker.
I can't spell.
John's notes say Peach Marker. He's saying the character names. Now see if you can figure this one out with us. The character names are John Economos, Peach Marker, Vigilante. I like how Economos ranks higher than Peacemaker. Vigilante, Hardcore, Leota, Clemson. We cannot figure out who the fuck Clemson is supposed to be. He has that written down. Cannot tell me what it's supposed to be. So Clemson, whoever that is, and Ransom Smith, or the White Dragon.
Some of those I can tell. I don't know who Clemson was at all.
So, the writing. So, okay, we're just gonna go through John's notes here, and then we'll
No.
speak a little bit, you know, okay. So, no, it's good. So, today we're gonna talk about Peacemaker, so spoiler warning. This will not be a play-by-play for the show, instead we are talking about your favorite scene and favorite parts of this show. Then give us a score at the end. Overall, we both love the show and a few things that make it the best. Writing. James Gunn knows how to write interesting characters. This show is writing so good that it beats Star Wars. He knows how to write a funny scene and emotional scenes and not make it jar. For example, episode 4 is my favorite. Okay. We got it. No. Peacemaker's backstory to Dick Jocks. I don't know what that means. Developing side characters. Back to ball walls action. What? Back to the cliffhanger. All fit in a 1-hour show. Okay, I don't know what any of that meant, but let's just go with what I think you said. So, it's okay. So, James Gunn is a good writer. Yes, I would agree with that. James Gunn's writing is really
we don't have to go on.
What brought up what brought up the James Gunn is that he wrote a good script. You know, I enjoy his Guardians of the Galaxy films. I enjoyed Suicide Squad movie. James Gunn is a good writer, and he knows how to make even generally unlikable characters likable, or at least interesting. I really don't know what this episode 4 is my favorite episode of the season. Peacemaker backstory to Dick Jocks, developing side character, back to ball walls action, and back to the cliffhanger. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Back to ball walls action.
Okay. Forget these notes.
To Dick Jocks. What does that mean, Sean? To Dick Jocks. Okay, alright.
I like to say that, 3 minutes have been just being pretty much making fun of my script.
Okay, but I don't understand. You write a script and it don't make no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh, Lord. Anyway, but yeah, I was trying to use it as an outline to go off of. Yes, I agree. James Gunn's writing is great. I think that Peacemaker is a compelling character. I really hated him after he killed Flag in the Suicide Squad movie. So I have to say, I did not expect him to be able to be redeemed in any way. But they really did a good job of that and made him really compelling. In a way that I thought was worth a watch. Because, DC seems to really be going for the idea that, rather than having clear-cut heroes and villains, they just have people act, like people, and then some do good things and some do bad things, but like there's always an understanding of like people are the product of their circumstances, and it's not so clean-cut Saturday morning cartoon, which I do like. I think that that's one thing that DC tends to do a little better than Marvel in terms of creating their really anti-heroes more than heroes.
It feels more realistic than in Marvel. They feel like goody two-shoes sometimes.
Yes.
And nothing...
Especially when they're written by Josh Whedon.
Yep.
Hey, language. I'll never forgive Josh Whedon for his characterization of of Captain America.
So bad.
Oh, jeez.
And the Russo brothers knew how to write him so much better. But...
Russo brothers?
Russo brothers.
I was like, who? Who?
But anyway, back to Peacemaker.
Okay, back to Peach Marker. Go ahead. What about him?
Okay, well, pretty much in my notes I was talking about how episode 4, we all agreed, at least would be a really good episode because it goes into Peacemaker's backstory. It also has that really amazing scene where Vigilante goes into prison. And
he antagonizes white supremacists before beating the shit out of them. Reads them for filth. It was the best scene in the whole fucking show. It made me love It made me love Vigilante as a character. And it was just so great. I would watch it again and again.
Yeah. And then the whole ending where one of the characters are actually a butterfly.
Yeah, well... Yeah, one of the main characters is a butterfly. And that because the butterflies are like the antagonists, as you will. Then we kind of find out toward the end that the butterflies are a species of aliens or whatever that came to Earth to try, because it was inhabitable, and to try to save it from the fault of their own civilization by basically inhabiting all of the world leaders and forcing them to act according to like climate change and stuff like that, and actually make the world a better place because they weren't doing that. Which, honestly, when you hear it that way, kind of makes it hard to fault them. But then there's this whole conversation about free will versus, like, forcing people to do what's the right thing for peace. And Peacemaker coming to grips with his own understanding of what, like, that means to achieve peace no matter who he has to hurt in the process. Which is his whole arc, basically.
Yeah.
Because he has this whole thing where he doesn't want to kill without a reason because he accidentally killed his brother at his father's behest when he was a kid. And made a vow never to kill without reason again. Which, is a fucked up sense of morality, but it makes sense because that's the whole, like, this is where Peacemaker got his fucked up morality from. It makes sense that way.
I don't know how James Gunn really writes his villains, but he does an amazing job every time. Like, for Starro and Suicide Squad to the Butterflies. Even.
Yeah. He makes them, they're not just like big bads, like big monsters. They have personality, they have humanity, you feel bad for them. Like with Starro, how he's talking about, he was kept captive and experimented on for years, and he wants revenge, and he was happy looking at the stars, or whatever his last words are. That's, like, depressing.
Yeah. Really depressing. But, yeah.
And then we watched The Batman this week. Last week, I guess.
Are we done talking about
Peacemaker? Oh, go ahead. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
But I just want to say, Peacemaker is out there one of my favorite DC shows in a long time, I'll be honest. Because DC's been kind of lacking on that front for a little bit. Especially with all the wonderful or terrible CW shows. This one felt really amazing, like on par with like Doom Patrol for DC live action TV shows. It's really good. I would highly recommend you watching it. Both of us would. Because...
Well, I can't recommend it because I've never watched Doom Patrol, but John Quest is good.
I was talking about Peacemaker.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Both of us...
Don't speak for me.
Okay.
You don't know if I recommend it. I do. I just don't like men speaking for me.
Okay. But either way, It's a fantastic show, and you should watch it.
Yes.
Yes.
Are we ready to move on to Batman now? Your Highness. Or as John probably has in his notes somewhere, the Barkman. Do the Barkman. Fucking Simpsons. That's okay, baby. You have talent in other areas. Anyway, so we watched the Batman last week with our friend Nobu, and it was a long ass movie, but it was 3 hours, so heads up going in, but it was good. We enjoyed it. I honestly went in with some pretty good expectations because I'd heard some good reviews, especially from people who don't even traditionally like superhero movies that much, so I knew that we were going to be in for something nice. Plus, Michael Giacchino, shout out to him on the soundtrack, he's amazing, so I love all of his work, and I would say, yeah, it fits the expectations. What the best thing I could say about it is that it very much feels like a classic Batman movie, a noir mystery. There's no big bad alien creature, there's no super meta human shit, which I like. I honestly feel like that's where Batman shines. Batman's not Iron Man. He does not belong with the Justice League fighting giant space aliens. It looks ridiculous. You either have to hamstring the superpowered characters or you have to make them ridiculously OP through some really convoluted, contrived writing. So I think that Batman is the most interesting when he's kind of pared down and doing down-to-earth type things that feel like they could at least be semi-realistic, and fighting just normal people in costumes rather than super villains. And so in this movie, that's, who he's up against, the Riddler, who is basically just a charismatic serial killer in this version. And he's a Twitch streamer. It's basically.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a Twitch streamer. I think I pointed out during the movie, we had more followers than him, which is good.
Yeah. Well, we don't generally give people the overthrow the government message until the second or third stream. Honestly, this show really, for me, the Batman fell into this territory I like to call where the I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Where the theming is a little off, or the social commentary seems kind of all over the place, in that whenever you've got these big budget films, they obviously can't shit on the real problems of society too much. They always have to make the problems feel like they can be fixed within the systems that already exist. The solution is never to overthrow the system. So, with Black Panther, you have, Killmonger trying to overthrow colonialism, and you've got them saying, well, no, that's not a good idea. And to always make that person seem completely extreme, they have them do something unforgivably bad, like having Killmonger kill his girlfriend or kill the elderly woman in Wakanda, or in this case, having the Riddler go from killing corrupt politicians and cops and stuff to just trying to flood the entire city of Gotham for no real reason. You just gotta have him do something real out of pocket to make sure that they don't seem too sympathetic, because honestly, up until then, he was making some good sense. He was calling out the corruption of the Wayne family and the other rich families in Gotham, and yeah, there was a lot of truth to it.
Yeah. I didn't really notice that trend until you told me right out of the theater about it, but it's noticeable in a lot of movies, in most recent memory.
Whenever you got a character that starts to make a little bit too much sense, then you gotta have them do something out of pocket and crazy evil so that nobody will sympathize with them. Because before, it's really, I thought that the movie almost took a really cool turn, when, Bruce has to come to grips with the idea that his father paid off a mobster to kill somebody. But then it turns out that was a lie. And I was a little disappointed, honestly. I wish they had kept that being the truth, because that makes, what is his name? William Wayne, whatever, his dad. It makes him a morally complicated figure, which, duh, the man is a billionaire. The idea that that the Waynes were just these golden-eyed angel people who never did anything wrong or corrupt is so ridiculous when you consider that they came they both came from rich families, and they're literally billionaires, and nobody becomes a billionaire without, like, exploiting people. So, there's just no way that they were just these paragons of sweet innocence and never intentionally were involved in a scandal. Like, that's a little bit weak to me, as well as the cops are evil and they're in the pockets of the mobsters, except most of them are good. It's just a few bad apples. Jim Gordon is real nice, proving that only good cops are fictional cops. I got a lot of thoughts on that, but I mean, overall, in terms of the cinematography and everything, it was like a really cool, engaging movie, and Robert Pattinson did a really excellent job of playing Bruce in a very brooding, dark way, both as Batman, but also as Bruce, which I think is fitting because, like, Bruce Wayne in this version is like a moody dude in his 20s. He's still pretty young, and he's only been at this for a couple of months, and he's exactly what you would expect out of someone who's been through what Bruce Wayne has been through. He doesn't try to pretend like he likes rich people events the way that Bruce does in a lot of versions. He just openly hates attention.
Yeah, but, like, a lot of people are, I guess, the big criticism for this movie, there's no identity switch between Bruce Wayne and Batman in this movie, because mostly he's a playboy and trying to hide his identity as Bruce Wayne, and we get none of that in this movie. We pretty much get him being Batman mode 24/7, no matter if he's Bruce Wayne or Batman at the time.
Yeah, but I've heard some people explain that by saying that, like, this is still early on for, like, I think they make some mention of how he's only been the Batman for, like, a couple of months at this point. Mm-hmm. So he may grow into that sort of more direct dichotomy when he grows up a little bit, because, like, he and Alfred has that conversation where he's like, you know, you're still a Wayne, you must wear your cufflinks or whatever. And he's like, you know my dad, like a moody teenager. And I just think he's just young at this point, and he's gonna learn how to pretend to just be a normal rich guy, so that he's not, I think he probably had a moment when the Riddler was talking about the Batman like he knew that Bruce was the Batman, and it turns out he was just separately obsessed with Bruce Wayne, didn't realize they were one and the same, but he came awful close to figuring it out, and so I think that's probably when he was like, you know what, I should probably do something to distinguish myself from Bruce a little bit more.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I feel like they're going to develop later on in movies, because you're right, he is super young. He said only 2 years being Batman, so, like, the rest, I'm assuming the rest of the trilogy is just seeing if he does a trilogy, is him building.
Did they confirm a trilogy?
There's a sequel on the way. I don't know if there's going to be a third one, but if there's...
They probably will if he makes enough money.
I'm assuming this trilogy is leading to him being, like, the full, accurate comic book version of Batman, like, high in his career and everything.
Yeah.
Because right now, are like the beginning bones of Batman.
Yeah, it's establishing who he is. And Batman does go through an arc where he figures out, like, what exactly is he doing and why is he doing it. And it's a little different than he thinks on the outset, where he was just vengeance before, and now he realizes that just blind vengeance doesn't make him any better than the villains. And so he's kind of codifying what being Batman means to him. I thought his relationship with Selina, aka Catwoman, was good. Zoe Kravitz did a good job. It felt pretty believable. It was paced. Honestly, I would have, wouldn't have minded maybe a few less scenes with them so I could get more scenes with Bruce and Alfred, because that was another thing I really liked. Was his relationship with Alfred, and Alfred actually, actively helping him with the mystery aspect of things. So I hope we get to see more Alfred in the future. But yeah, I thought that was really... And the dude who... What's his name? It's the guy, he was in Lord of the Rings, and then he played Claw in Black Panther.
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis, yeah. But he played... one of our cats is trying to break down the door.
I'll try to close the door.
No, just sit down. Just sit down. I don't want you to risk unplugging anything.
Yeah, okay. Bye.
So yeah, but he plays Alfred. I think he does a really cool job. I like the way he shouldn't have opened his boss's mail. That's what you get. That's a crime, Alfred. You're not supposed to open other people's mail, or you might get blown up by the C4 bomb that was put in there by the Riddler. So that's your lesson. Don't fucking open other people's mail.
But for like, I would say 30 seconds after the bomb went off, I thought he would actually be dead because...
Yeah, me too.
Because so far in this movie, it's been playing it like realistic and everything.
Yeah.
And
that blew up right in his face.
Yeah.
But then again, Bruce also has a bomb blow up directly in his face, and he's fine. That whole scene is really weird because he's talking to the DA who's got a bomb strapped to him, and he's like, trying to get the bomb or decipher the riddles to get the bomb defused, and he knows the bomb is seconds away from blowing up, and the dude, the DA is refusing to answer the last question. So he sees the countdown, and does Bruce move out of the way, take cover? No, he just stands directly in front of him until the bomb goes off, and then he gets thrown across the room and knocked out. But for some reason, nobody takes his mask off the entire time he's unconscious, and they bring his unconscious body to the police station. So he wakes up on a table in an interrogation room surrounded by cops, and I'm like, what the hell happened here? First of all, because then they start talking about, take his mask off, see who he is. And I'm like, why did nobody take his mask off or think to take his mask off until this point? And also, who the fuck brings a severely injured person to the police station first? What?
Okay, so I think... Some people say Jim Gordon was there on the scene, bomb drop, so he probably was first one there, and when they were getting him, capturing him, said Gordon followed him 24/7 when they got to the police station, and made sure, no cops even touched the mask or anything. But that's a big what if.
Yeah, that's a big what if, and also why did he get taken to the police station instead of the hospital? What's the explanation for that?
Yeah, you got a point. I guess they didn't want to check in Batman in the hospital.
I mean, he would have definitely had to take his mask off at some point. The doctors or paramedics or somebody. I just refuse to believe that someone would get blown up in front of everyone and, with all the paramedics and cops running around, nobody at any point took his mask off while he was unconscious.
Yeah.
I was so sure that was going to be the next issue, is that he was unmasked, but no, nobody bothered to take his mask off. So, yeah, that happened. But, some stuff you just gotta let happen because it's the nature of movies. But I would say that I think, and Gordon, by the way, I love Gordon. He was played by, Isaiah something. He's the dude, he plays the Watcher in What If.
Yep.
He also, Jeremiah Wright.
Oh, yep.
He also plays, I knew it was a biblical prophet. He also plays the dude in the wheelchair in the Hunger Games and some other stuff. He's a good actor.
He plays in Westworld. He's one of the main characters. He's really good in that too.
Yeah, he's a good actor, and he makes a good Jim Gordon, a very enjoyable Jim Gordon.
To be honest, I think he's my favorite. After thinking about it, all the other Jim Gordons, most of them throughout the movies just tend to light up the bat symbol, tell Batman what they need to be done, and that's it.
This Jim is actively involved in investigating with Bruce. Yeah. They have a good rapport. They have a really good chemistry with each other. They're funny together. I love the scene where they're going in the warehouse or whatever, and Jim pulls out his gun, and Bat's like, "No guns," and he's like, "Yeah, that's your thing." I ain't playing those games with you, homie. It's I only trust you, and I don't even know who you are.
Yeah. It felt like they actually had a relationship in this movie. Under, the other movies, it felt like...
When we get more into it... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, those other movies, like Dark Knight and the Ben Affleck's version with J.K. Simmons, it just feels like they like the thing, and that's the end of their character. It doesn't feel like a relationship like this movie is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you get more into Harley Quinn, because I've watched Harley Quinn the whole season, and John hasn't watched it yet, but we watched the first episode. Anyway, when we get further into Harley Quinn, they joke about that, about Jim's relationship with Batman, because it's Jim is just this sort of drunk slob that really fanboys over Batman, and Batman's kind of keeping it at arm's length, yeah, we're not really friends like that, Jim. I'm just here to do my thing. So yeah, they like definitely play off of that idea. Because Batman is in the series, and so is Robin and all the other characters. They're just not main characters, but they do show up.
Yeah, that's another great show that I need to finish.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Batman has been reinvented and reimagined so many times, including literally as Lego toys, and now he's gonna be in a fucking Secret Life of Pets ripoff.
Yep.
I literally thought that was some Illumination type garbage when I showed up on my screen. I thought it was the latest cheap attempt at a children's movie from Illumination. I fully did think it was Secret Life of Pets 3 or whatever.
For the people that don't know what she's talking about, before Batman began, they showed a trailer for their new Illumination.
Before the Batman.
Yeah.
Batman Begins is an entirely different movie.
Oh, I said Batman Begins?
Yes.
I thought I said Batman.
Nope.
No, okay. Yeah, but there was a preview before Batman. It was like the League of Super Pets as their new...
It's the pets of the Justice League. So it's like... I think Wonder Woman has a dog or a cat or some shit. I don't fucking remember. And there's like a dog, Superman. There's Crypto the Super Dog, which I remember watching cartoons with Crypto when I was a kid. And Batman's dog. I don't remember what his name is. It's not worth. If you're not like 10 years old, it is not worth your time.
Yeah, it just looks terrible. They have Kevin Hart, Draylon Johnson, so they just bought a bunch of celebrity voices.
It's really like cheap animation, celebrity voices. Like I said, it's like an Illumination movie. If it wasn't tied to the Batman property, and you just told me this is the newest Illumination movie, it's gonna have Kevin Hart and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing dogs that live a secret life, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds like an Illumination movie. It's unimaginative, it's uninspired, it's a cheap cash grab, cheap ass animation, all the money goes to celebrity cameos and pop music in the background. Just the standard garbage that children's movies have become these days.
And that pretty much sums up DC right there. Like, they released the Batman, amazing ass movie, and then on the side they're releasing this.
Oh man,
it doesn't feel consistent sometimes.
No, it doesn't feel consistent at all because they're literally throwing shit in all different directions and just seeing what sticks. Like, DC doesn't know what they're doing. No. They don't have a game plan. They're just trying everything. Let's be a little like Marvel. They're successful, but let's also be a little like, like Illumination or Disney. They're successful. Oh, but let's also be a little dark and gloomy. People like gritty shit. Oh, but I mean, they're just trying everything. Like even the little promo reel that they showed about the upcoming movies, they're like Flashpoint, and then the Batman, and then some other stuff. Like they're trying to like Aquaman too. Like the few properties they've got that they're still trying to like milk something out of. They're like, okay, so this is a thing, but then like, oh, but we're doing a whole different Batman franchise, and if that doesn't work, we got another Batman franchise we're gonna try. It's fucking Aquaman 2. Well, I'm still a little unclear what's gonna happen with that because like Amber Heard is a real controversial person to hire right now, so we're not sure how that's gonna work. Yeah. I mean, they could do the Crimes of Grindelwald, where Johnny Depp, a similarly controversial person, and not ironically the one that was married to Amber Heard, they just replaced his ass. Now everyone's like, well, you should do the same thing to Amber because she was at least as bad to him as he was to her. And they're like going back and forth. I'm just like, I feel like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp just like are done. They're just done. No more casting them in anything.
Yeah, they're done. Jeez. I'd never heard more of
their careers went down in flames just like their marriage. Like, just let it go.
Yeah.
It's never coming back.
Jesus. That was like the biggest celebrity fight still going on. It just needs to end. God.
And like it was so fucked up, like all that shit she said, like she was super abusive to him, and all that shit got swept under the rug, and everyone took her side. Like, oh boy, what a freaking mess. Anyway, this is not. We are not the marriage counselors for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, but literally, y'all are very toxic for each other. Please stay very far away for the rest of your lives.
But I was gonna bring up that, like, there was a preview with the upcoming DC movies after the Batman, and none of them made me excited. Like, I don't care about Black Adam.
Oh no, I could not care
No.
less.
I couldn't care about that. I couldn't care about this Flash movie. It's been in production hell over and over again. It had...
It's like Black Widow. Like, that movie was stuck in production hell for almost 10 years, and look what we got when it finally got out. Garbage. And speaking of, the Batman had the same budget as Black Widow, and a million times better in terms of effects and everything else. Script, like, everything.
Yeah. So I'm not excited for this Flash movie. You can put as many Batman in the movie in, but if the story's not good, it's not good. You can't just put a bunch of cameos just to fix a broken story, because I don't feel like they know what to do with Flash at all. Then,
Well, no, because it's like he's got part of the Justice League, but like, what's happening with that? Okay, so Ben Affleck doesn't want to make any more movies, but then Henry Cavill does, but we won't let him for some reason. And then I don't know what Gal Gadot's doing. So like her last movie was kind of ass. So I don't know what anyone's doing with the Justice League anymore.
I just don't get it. Like, DC needs to decide if they're either collapsing this universe or they're not.
They don't want to, though. They don't want to decide. They want to have their cake and eat it, too. It's like, it's a Happy Pie Day. We're recording this on Pie Day, and they want to have their pie and eat it, too. But, like, they're trying everything that works with it. It's like, oh, okay, this movie works. So somehow we gotta manage to shove Flash in there. They're teasing doing a multiverse type thing, like what Marvel's doing. But Marvel laid the groundwork for that over a decade, and DC's just trying some shit.
Yeah. And, okay, so they're bringing Michael Keaton's Batman back for the Flash movie, which I think is interesting. But Michael Keaton was never my favorite.
I don't think he was anybody's favorite Batman
Man.
ever. Like, who when you say Batman is immediately like Michael Keaton? I don't know.
Like, most people say, like, Christian Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale. Or even Adam West.
Yeah. I think, looking back at those movies, he did fine, Michael Keaton. But I wouldn't say that's jumping over to joy to go see the Flash movie for. I mean,
they want to be Spider-Man No Way Home so bad. That was a lightning in a bottle, once in a lifetime type cinematic experience. I don't think you're ever going to be able to copy that.
No. And they're trying to. So when Michael Keaton shows up in the Flash movie, it'd be like, cool, because I didn't have that nostalgia of him being my Batman at the time, so I'm probably not going to feel anything.
Yeah.
When that comes up. So it's not going to be that lightning in the bottle like Spider-Man No Way Home is. For me, at least.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I thought I saw something crawling on you.
Okay.
But anyway, Spider-Man No Way Home, yeah. It's just, that moment is gone. And they should just try to do their own thing. But just DC's not confident enough to do their own thing. They just want to copy other people's stuff and see what works.
Yeah. That's... They just keep on throwing stuff at the ground and stuff. I don't even know why they're doing a second Aquaman, to be honest. Because
that needed?
The first one was okay. I wouldn't say it's groundbreaking or amazing.
Aquaman's not an interesting hero. Has anyone ever been interested in Aquaman? Has anyone ever been like, Aquaman is definitely my favorite character in the DC universe?
No.
Like, it's Aquaman. I mean, honestly, they tried to make him cool with Jason Momoa. They tried to make him like a sea god type thing with like a trident and shit. They definitely tried to go for that, like a more edgy in terms of just a goofy man in an orange suit who talks to fish. But like, he's still at the end of the day a man who talks to fish. And I guess he has water powers. But like, can he even like summon water from other places? Can he do that with his trident? I think he can, right? Does he have like water bending power?
Yeah, water.
Or is he just good with his trident? Or does he need water? Like, can he control water?
He can control water and summon fish. I've seen that in the Aquaman movie, yes.
Okay, so he can summon fish,
Yes.
even if they're not near. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I don't know. Wonder Woman can. I don't know if she can fly, but she can jump real high, and she has an electric whip that makes you tell the truth, and she's got bulletproof gauntlets, and she has, like, a fire sword or something. And then Superman, he can shoot lasers from his eyes, and he can fly, and he can punch through brick walls and shit, and he's got super strength. And he can lift a whole, like, train and stuff. And then Batman doesn't have any powers, but he's a rich man. And he got gadgets, and he does shit. And the Flash can run so fast that he can, like, undo death and set back time. And then Aquaman, he can talk to fish. Even the chiseled abs of Jason Momoa can't hide the fact that his power is kind of lame.
Yeah. Just... They try so hard to make him cool Aquaman. I just don't think it's ever going to work for me. No matter what they do.
I'm thinking about Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League, that 4-hour monstrosity, and, like, there's a whole section where, like, Bruce and Aquaman are in Aquaman's home village, which is like a Finnish fishing town or something, and he's like, what do you say? The Bruce makes, like, a joke or something, but the humor is so awkward.
Yeah.
And then what I was also thinking, this has nothing to do with Aquaman, but I was thinking about, like, Wonder Woman and how that's in her scene where she's introduced, she quote unquote saves the bank by, like, exploding a hole into the building that almost certainly killed some people below. Like, that was completely unnecessary. She, like, took the time to, like, run through the scene and, like, deflect all the bullets and then turn around and, like, blow him up through the wall. And I'm like, Diana, you literally could have just taken the gun from him without blowing the building up.
Yeah.
That was super unnecessary.
Yeah. It really was. It meant...
And then she had to fly the bomb into space, and then she comes with, like, the little girls, and she's like, you can be anything you want to be. I'm like, lady, you just killed at least a couple dozen people. You can't blow the side out of a building and not kill some people. This is what Scarlet Witch got in trouble for in fucking Civil War. Because she blew up a building and some people died, because that's what happens when you blow a building up. Yeah. And Diana just casually blows the side out of a broom for no fucking reason. And it's fine. She's the good guy, definitely.
She's the good guy.
The wanton... I like when, like, shows can't decide whether or not they're going to consistently make note of the wanton destruction that their quote-unquote heroes cause on a daily basis. Oh boy.
Oh God. It just feels so strange with every DC thing they put out. It's either good or really bad. It's so strange. It feels like everything, like, really, really good is, like, so far away from the universe that it doesn't really matter. Like the Suicide Squad movie, for example, that's, like, far from their, like, Batmans and everything else.
And that did really well because it was actually really good.
Yeah.
But they don't want to tie that in with the other stuff because then it's awkward.
Yeah. Same case with Peacemaker, too. It's, like, far, far away from their precious universe and stuff like that. But, yeah. I believe...
I was looking for, like, because I was like, I made TikToks after watching the Snyder Cut, and I made 2 different ones. I made one that said, Bruce Wayne, after throwing a deadly weapon at Barry's face, operating on the major assumption that the kid had powers, and that those powers happened to be super speed, because otherwise he just killed a college student for no reason. And then also this one, Diana, after unnecessarily blowing a whole wall out of the building she was trying to prevent from being blown up by bad guys, even though she could easily have taken out the shooter without potentially hurting dozens of people on the ground, or showing off her bullet blocking skills, which put a lot of children's lives at unnecessary risk. Oh, jeez. It's true. There's so many little kids, and she's deflecting bullets in all directions. I'm like, that could have hit one of those children. So, boy. Zack Snyder just likes drama, and he loves slow-mo shots. But anyway. Oh, God. But yeah, I would say that, I don't know, what are we even talking about?
Also, can we say that the DC Universe was picked off by Zack Snyder? The dude that I don't think should start Universe. Because he started it with Man of Steel and everything. And his universe design, I don't really like. I'll be honest. Do you like his universe design? Like 300, I know of. Watchmen. I just don't really like his universes.
Snyder's universes?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Snyder, like, he loves a show. He loves a big, dramatic, show, which has its place, but, like, Snyder is the guy you want to hire to, like, make your big blockbusters after the universe has already been established, not to make your universe from the ground up, I don't think. I feel like to really slow burn your characters the way they need to be, you need someone like James Gunn, who, like, knows how to take characters that no one's ever heard of and turn them into really beloved characters by the end of the movie. Not just in Suicide Squad, but also the Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a bunch of nobody characters. And he knows how to, throughout Peacemaker, we see him slowly building these relationships to where it feels satisfying. I don't think Snyder likes slow build. I think he likes show.
Yeah, he doesn't, especially with the version of Batman he picked.
Yeah, and like it's in Man of Steel. I mean, that is not a first out the gate kind of movie. No. I guess you do like Iron Man, but even then we got to see how he became Iron Man. Like,
yeah, like Man of Steel. Now he's fighting Batman. I feel like he should have at least had one or two more movies, Superman-wise.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people from Man of Steel said, oh, I enjoyed Henry Cavill. I just didn't really enjoy the story right there. And I believe Henry Cavill can be a good Superman, but they don't ever give him a chance. For some reason...
No, every time, even in Snyder Cut, he's so wooden and boring. Like, okay, Superman's a hard character to write, because Superman, honestly, is the most boring character in the DC. Yes, I said it. I don't even think anyone's going to fight me on it. I don't think Superman has shooters the way that Batman has shooters. Batman has people who will fight you to the death. They'll be like, Batman could outclass Thanos if he had enough prep time. I've had so many men mansplain to me, Batman, I could jump off a bridge just hearing the name. But I don't think anyone's like that for Superman. Nobody really gives a fuck about Superman, because he's literally like a god. He's impenetrable, he's bulletproof, he can see, I mean, he's so OP all the time that he's just not interesting.
The way you fix that is making him feel more human.
Yes.
And we can relate to. The problem with Snyder's version of Superman, he feels like a god. 24/7.
He literally, no, it's not, he doesn't feel like a god. Snyder 100% wants you to view him as Jesus. There is literally a scene where he is like floating above the crowd with his arms outspread like Jesus on the cross, and everyone's like, is there not a scene like that?
Yeah, there
and they're like basically worshiping. Like, Snyder is literally like, this is Jesus, everybody. By the way, in case my allegory wasn't clear, this is Jesus.
And it makes it...
And then he made Joker Jesus later, and that was a weird choice.
That's a whole different thing. I don't... Jesus.
Okay. Jesus allegories. Somebody take Jesus allegories away from Zack Snyder. Okay. He doesn't know how to use them.
Before we go off track for Superman, I just want to bring up that Henry Cavill does Gary from Witcher really good. He does A Man for Uncle, and he shows comedical and a lot of different...
He has range.
He has range.
Yeah.
So it proves that he could really be the version of Superman we want to see
with a better director.
But he's never given that chance, and he's like the only one of the actors I know of that wants to come back to their roles.
Yeah.
For this property, because Affleck wants to leave. I know Wonder Woman wants to leave pretty soon, probably, and I don't know. I guess Jason Momoa is like the only one.
Yeah, Jason Momoa is the Chris Hemsworth of this universe. I think he's just kind of down for whatever. He's just having a good time. But
yeah,
but you can't build a universe. It would be like if all of the main Avengers and everybody established in Marvel was uninterested except for Chris Hemsworth. Like, yeah, they're trying to cobble together a universe with what they have left, because they also got Jason Momoa and the other dude who plays Flash, I don't remember his name, to cameo in Peacemaker, bringing it back around. The other actors, I'm sure, were far too expensive to even consider getting, so we only got to see them in shadow.
Yeah, I've heard there's a version out there. It was just a stunt double as Batman. That you could actually see the face, but it looked like Ben Affleck. So they didn't even get Ben Affleck for that scene. They didn't even have words, I heard, at all.
No, they didn't. Of course they didn't get Ben Affleck. Can you imagine how much he would have charged? He's way too expensive to be in some fucking cameo scene.
Yeah.
The only way that actors like that do that kind of stuff is if they have a really good personal relationship with the director or something. But... Yeah. I mean, they could barely get Viola Davis in there for more than 2 episodes. They were like, we get one shot where she's video calling, and then she's mentioned on the other end of the phone, but we don't get to see her. And then in the very last, so we see her in the very first and the very last episode. In the very last episode, she's sitting on her couch watching TV, and she goes, "What the fuck?" Because her daughter just outed her, and that's it. Those 3 words probably cost $1 billion. They were like, had a contract. Okay, what will be 100,000?
So another question that brings up is Disney the only one that could do a universe like this? Because they need so much money to keep actors around.
Yeah, they need so much money and so many connections. Like, they have to pull so many favors. I mean, that's where you get stuff like, even with Star Wars, you know, like, Lord knows Harrison Ford was not eager to come back to any kind of Star Wars property. He doesn't give a fuck about Star Wars, and he hasn't since, like, 1978.
I don't think he ever cared about Star Wars. I feel like New Hope came out, and it was a success. He was like, oh, cool, man. Whatever.
He was nobody before that. He was like a janitor or something, and so his first big break was New Hope, but then he got hired for a bunch of other stuff because he was such a beloved character. Yeah. So then he wanted to leave Star Wars far behind him after that.
Yeah, and they keep on bringing his ass back, and I heard, like, the book of Boba Fett was going on, and they wanted to bring him back. I knew that was not going to happen.
He didn't. They had to pull and plead. They had to call in every favor in the book just to get him to show up to that last Star Wars movie, and he didn't even bother to comb his hair.
No.
And I'm pretty sure he straight up said on like Jimmy Fallon or whatever show he was on afterward, they're like, "Oh, you remember this scene?" Or, you know, "Didn't you want to do this or that?" And he like just straight up said, like, "I don't care." I didn't bother to just comb my hair. They had him roll out of bed, come out of his trailer. "Mr. Ford, please, it's time for the scene." "Mr. Ford, okay, can we do one more take?" "Oh, he's already going back."
And some Star Wars fans think it's fun watching him pretty much shit on Han Solo, which I don't get at all, because I would rather my actors who love the universe talk proudly about their characters, but Harrison Ford just shits on Han Solo 24/7.
Man, he's a grumpy old man. He literally is in his 80s. That man does not give a fuck.
And they keep on asking him these questions. And
that's what I was like. Somebody stop asking Harrison Ford Star Wars questions. He could not be more visibly disgusted that you were bothering him with such nonsense. He never gives an honest answer. He's not excited to talk about Star Wars at all. Like, Mark Hamill will still excitedly talk about Star Wars. Like, you cannot get Harrison Ford. You say anything related to Star Wars and you just get the dirtiest look.
Strange.
Oh boy. I think Harrison Ford's best role was in Age of Adelaide, which is this god-awful movie I watched at a cheap bar and theater with my friends, drinking mini beers. And he played a guy who fell in love with this girl named Adelaide who was ageless because she got struck by lightning or something. And... And then she grows, and so then she's like technically 80 years old, but she looks like she's 20 something, and she ends up falling in love with Harrison Ford's son, just like she fell in love with him when he was older. It's so stupid. And then no, the stupidest part comes at the end. So like, so it's like, okay, she, it's the whole like, the conflict of her like falling in love with this dude even though she knows that he's gonna grow older and she's gonna stay the same age because she's already going through the fact that her daughter is like way older than she is now, and gonna die before her. And so she's like, I don't want to fall in love with this man knowing he's gonna age and I'm gonna stay the same because I don't age or whatever. But then she gets into another car accident and gets struck by lightning or something again, and it reverses everything that happened before. So now she can age normally alongside her new love, and that's the end of the movie. I would literally have rather, because the worst part is that they try to give a scientific explanation for this. They're like, according to an unknown principle of physics, the blah 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 blah. I'm like, I would rather you say a fucking wizard did it. I would literally rather if the movie was just like, and then Jesus said, zing, and shot her with a magic laser beam. That would have made more sense than whatever scientific bullshit they were trying to shove down our throats. That movie was so fucking bad. Anyway, this has gone off the rails, and I think it's about time to wrap it up. But the bottom line is, we like what DC has currently and recently been putting out, but we don't know where the fuck they're going, and I don't think they do either.
Yeah. They don't, really. Like, I love this Batman, but it's like in a completely different universe, and it's not with their universe at all, so it just feels like the best parts of their universe are far away. So I don't think...
And they're trying to tie them back together very, very ham-fistedly.
Yep.
They're trying to do everything Marvel did in 12 years in, like, 5.
There was a news article, like, saying, oh, maybe the sequel of Robert Pattinson's movie will hint that he's part of the DC universe. I don't want that.
No, I don't at all. I don't want Robert Pattinson's Batman in the Snyderverse, or whatever they want to call it now. I don't want that at all.
Yeah.
I don't want it to all be connected. I'm so tired of that. Like, I have enough of that going on with Marvel. I have enough shit to keep track of. They're already talking about how they're going to make Into the Spider-Verse canon in the MCU at some point. My head cannot handle this. Like, I have exactly enough mental capacity to handle one multiverse, and it's dedicated to Marvel at this point. I'm too deep. I can't go back. I cannot keep up with it. I'm not interested in doing any of that shit for DC. Not any of that shit. Do you hear me? Just make different movies. They're not connected. There's no greater universe. It's all just whatever the fuck it is. It's just, if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. Ignore the canon. Ignore that it's part of some no crossover, none of that shit. No more. I can't deal with that. I truly can't. Don't be trying to give me some fucking Into the Spider-Verse, Into the Batverse with like 16 different Batmans. Fuck that shit. I don't want any of that.
So, DC, do what you're doing now. Just keep on throwing
just
crazy
make random movies. And don't pretend they're connected.
Yeah. Don't even bother connecting it. Because every time when you try and connect it,
you fuck it up.
Yeah.
You fuck it up. I mean, in our professional opinion, you fuck it up. You can't do universes. Just leave that shit to Marvel, and you guys just make individual movies that are good.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, you have more creative freedom that way, too, because Marvel movies, let's be honest, even the good Marvel movies are, like, trapped in the Marvel formula. Like, most of them cannot break free from it. I mean, Shang-Chi was a great movie, but it was still trapped in the Marvel formula at the end of the day. They don't have as much creativity with those movies. The Eternals kind of tried to break it, and it sucked. So you really can't break the Marvel formula that severely. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. So, that's a benefit of just doing standalone crazy movies. Because, like, Logan, a Marvel movie, which just was crazy, was, like, probably one of the best Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So, DC can do the same with their properties. Like, just go crazy, do an out there comic or anything, because it doesn't.
Just do your own thing. Just the Killing Joke. Like, that's why the DC animated universe is so much better, because they do not try to pretend that shit is connected. They just do the Killing Joke, they do all of those other ones, those Batman specials, they do the Harley Quinn series, but you don't have to watch another series to understand the Harley Quinn series. They don't be like, make sure you watch Batman the Brave and the Bold, not Batman Returns, that's a different one. You don't have to do any of that shit to enjoy Harley Quinn as a standalone series about Harley Quinn. And this is just this universe, that's it. It does not have to be the same Harley from the other movies. It does not have to be the same Harley from this and that. It's not connected. They're not like, oh, this is actually Margot Robbie's Harley. None of that. It's just Harley Quinn. This Harley Quinn in this universe, that's the end.
Yeah, so just do that. Just do that for the rest of your movies, and I'll think you'll be good. Just leave this universe.
Leave the grander universe shit. It's not for everybody. It really isn't. I mean, that's not even an insult. Star Wars is kind of trying to do it too, and nobody gives a fuck about Star Wars anymore, except for the side projects. No one cares about the overall story because that last trilogy was a fucking mess. So just don't. No more connections or sequels. Just, if I want to make a Spider-Man movie, boom, it's a Spider-Man movie. I just did it. I don't need any rules, no strictures, no universes, just your own standalone movies.
Yeah.
And maybe you can have sequels to those movies, but they don't connect to the other sequels.
For example, for DC, you can do a Batman Beyond movie out of nowhere. Like, it doesn't matter. You can do it whenever.
Yeah, there's no rules. You can do 2 different Batmans at the same time. It doesn't matter. None of this, it's part of the multiverse. It's just its own thing. It's just its own thing.
Just do that. Why does it have to be connected? It doesn't need to be, go out there with your movies, and that's how you can stay ahead for Marvel. Honestly, because Marvel is going to have to connect to this universe no matter what. So some movies gonna have to end this way, some movies have to end this way. You can do whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, DC, do that.
That's been your professional advice. Thank you so much for listening to this dope-ass thing we're doing.
Yeah.
Where we talk about stuff in a less edited fashion, because ain't nobody got time for that. This is the podcast. I don't know what I'm calling it yet. Could just be wordy and nerdy. There are no rules. There are no strictures, just like with DC. The point is, thank you for listening to whatever it is, and we will see you next time.
Bye.